Hello, welcome back. So now in this part, we will design the example. We will take an example to design the simply supported roof. So this is the example. In this, we are required to design simply supported roof slab for the room. The dimension of the room is also given, which are actually the internal dimension. And roof is supported on the wall, and therefore wall thickness is also given here, which is 230 mm. And the roof, there is a finishing on the roof, and the weight of the finishing is 2 kilonewton per meter square, which means 2 kilonewton is the weight per unit area, which is 1 by 1 meter by 1 meter area. So on this area, this is the weight of finishing. And there is also an statement which is added here, which means roof is approachable for repair only, which means it is not accessible for general purpose. It is accessible only when there is a need of repair. So which means it is partially accessible. And we have to use material as a concrete grade as M20 grade. And for the steel, it is HYSD, which means HYSD means FE 415. So this reinforcement we are going to use in the slab. So we will note down all the details from here. Also, we can make a rough sketch also of the slab. Like say this is the slab having the internal dimension and it is supported on the wall. So it will something look like this. And because there will be slabs, so these these will be actually the internal rectangle will be actually a dotted rectangle. Okay, so this is 3 by 5 meter, this is 3 meter, and this is the 5 meter, and the thickness of wall is 230 mm. So that is actually the supports width. So that is the sketch. With this we have an idea what we are going to design. Now we will follow the steps of design and we will design the slab. So as I said, we will be designing this slab as a unit width strip. For example, for the shorter span, the unit width strip will be like this one. So we will be designing only this strip along the shorter span. Similarly, we will be designing, this unit strip will be up to this one. Similarly, for longer span, we will be having another unit strip which we will be designing. Okay, and the width of this unit strip will be 1 meter, and in the cross section it will something look like this. So this is the unit width strip, and it actually looks like a beam which is having width 1 meter and thickness equivalent to the slab that we are going to estimate in this problem. So that will be the thickness. Okay, thickness, and this is actually the width, which is B, and this is the overall depth, which is capital D. Similarly, if we have reinforcement, then from the center of reinforcement to the top of this, it is known as small d. So that we are going to design. So because we are considering unit strip for the slab, all the design procedure will be same as we have followed in case of beam design. So the first step would be to find out the materials and design constant, which is M and JR. Now M and JR, they are dependent on the permissible stresses, which is sigma CBC and sigma ST. So for M20 grade of concrete, the value of sigma CBC is 7 Newton per mm square, and I have already explained the process in the lecture of the beam design, so you can refer to that. So using the IS code table, we can find out the value of sigma CBC. Similarly, for permissible stresses for steel, the value is 230 for the HYSD bar or FE 415. So for them, this value is 7 Newton sigma CBC and 230 for sigma ST. So it is mainly dependent on the type of material, grade of material actually. Now first we will find out the modular ratio. Now modular ratio formula is 280 by 3 sigma CBC, and here putting the value of sigma CBC we get the value of M as 13.33. So that is our first design constant. After that we will be able to find out the value of N. The formula for N is M sigma CBC upon M sigma CBC plus sigma ST. Now putting all the values here, we get the value of N as 0.29. Now next design constant will be J, which is the lever arm factor. So in this, the formula for J is 1 minus N by 3. So N we have already calculated from here. So putting the value, we get the value of J as 0.904. After that, we will find out the fourth design constant, which is called the resisting factor. So R is half sigma CBC J into N. So we have all the values. So putting the value, we get the value of R as 0.91. So these are the design constant. So we have found them in step 1. Now in the step 2, we will estimate the thickness of the slab. So right now we don't know what will be the thickness of slab. So we will estimate that slab thickness. So as a thumb rule, yes, so as a thumb rule, generally we can first estimate our, we can make our first estimation for the depth of slab, effective depth of slab as short span by 30, which means LX by 30. So generally for the beam, generally we have L by 10 as a estimate, and generally for the simply supported slab, we can take as a thumb rule, we can take LX by 30. LX means short span. LX here, actually it should be clear span, clear short span. Sorry, it will be clear short span by 30. So this is our first estimation. So as per estimation, we will estimate the value of D as clear short span by 30. So putting the clear short span, so in the problem, we already know that clear short span is 3000 mm or 3 meter. So putting the value, we get as an initial estimation of the depth as 100 mm. So that is the effective depth. I would like to remind you that effective depth is generally measured from the center of the reinforcement to the topmost fiber of the slab. So that is the D. Now, as it is measured from the center of the reinforcement, we also need to have this value, which means we need to have clear cover plus the dia of reinforcement. Then only we will be able to find out this value, which is called effective cover. So for effective cover, we need to assume the exposure. So we will assume moderate exposure, and for moderate exposure, we will take the clear cover as 30 mm. Now for the concept of clear cover and how do we find out it, I have already explained it in the previous part. So you can refer to that. So clear cover here we are taking as 30 mm. And we will also require to assume the dia of the bar, because as I said, effective cover is comprising the clear cover plus half of the dia of the bar. So therefore, we also require to assume the dia of bar and the clear cover. Then only we will be able to find out the overall thickness of the slab, which is represented as capital D. So now capital D can be calculated as D plus effective cover, and effective cover is the summation of clear cover plus half of the dia of bar. So if we already know the effective cover, we can directly add to the D. or we can assume the clear cover based on the exposure and the dia of bar. So generally in the slab, we will assume the dia of bar between 8 to 12 mm. We can assume 8 mm dia, we can assume 10 mm dia, or we can assume 12 mm dia. Generally, we don't take bar higher than 12 mm dia. So here we are assuming only the 8 mm dia of the bar as a main reinforcement, and we will be using the same 8 mm dia bar calculation in the next steps also. So putting the value here, we have the overall depth as 134. Generally, the overall depth of the slab, generally we take this is as in the multiple of 10. So we have the option, either we round off this on the lower side or on the higher side. So to be on the safer side, we are rounding off this 134 value on the higher side. Now as the value of overall depth is changed, which means the value of D will also change. So finally, how much D we are providing, we will calculate that. So finally D provided is overall depth minus clear cover minus half of the dia of bar. And finally the D which we are providing as an initial estimation is 106 mm. So this is the second step in which we have just estimated the thickness of slab. We will be checking this slab against the maximum bending moment in the later steps that we will see. So second step is about estimation of slab thickness. Now in the third step, we will calculate the effective span, which is the Lx and Ly. As the slab is rectangular slab, so say this is the Lx value and this is the Ly value. So they are known as effective span. So as per IS code recommendation, if we refer to this clause, in this clause it is being mentioned that effective span will be the least of two parameter. Now first parameter is clear span plus D provided. D provided we have just calculated in the previous step, and clear span we already know. Now we are calculating the Lx value. So for that we will find out clear short span, and clear short span is already given in the question, which is the 3 meter. So putting the value, we have 3000 plus 106. So that becomes our clear short span as per first parameter. Now, according to the second parameter, it will be center to center of the support. Now, as we know that the internal dimension of the slab is this one. So taking this dimension, center to center. So as per second parameter, with the parameter of this one, it says center to center of support, which means inner dimension plus half of the support from this end, half of the support from this end. So putting the value 3000 plus 230 by 2, 230 by 2. 230 is the wall thickness, which is already provided in the question. So you can refer to that if it is not clear to you. So adding all the values, we get 3230. So as you can see, it is written that effective span will be the least of A and B. So according to A, effective span is 3106. According to second parameter, effective span is 3230. Now we will take the lesser one, and lesser one is 3106. So we are rounding off this value 3.106 meter as 3.11. Okay. So we can consider Lx as 3.11 meter. Similarly, with the same process, we can find out the value of Ly also. So with the same process, Ly value will also be 5.11. Okay, like if we put 5000 in place of this, we will have 5106. Similarly, we put 5000 in place of 3000, we will have 5230. So least value will be 5.11, which we got after round off. So that is the third step in which we have calculated the effective spans. Now in the fourth step, we will find out the load on the slab. So as I said that we will be designing the unit strip of the slab, and unit strip of the slab, say for example, in case of shorter span, it is passing like this. So similarly, in case of the longer span, it is passing like this. This is the total span for the longer span, which is Ly, and this is the total span Lx. So we are not considering the total span, but we are considering the unit length, unit strip. So here the width is 1 meter. Similarly, as the load on the slab is considered as UDL, generally the load which comes on the slab, it will be considered as UDL, and UDL generally runs as I'm making the loading diagram. So UDL generally represented as like this. So it means the slab will be having UDL W kilonewton per meter. So in this case, considering say this is Lx, for example, if I take this as the whole span as Lx, so in that case, what will be the value of the UDL? Now UDL is represented as load per meter length. So it means what is the load on this unit strip per meter length. So we know that this is 1 meter. Now along the length in this direction, say if we consider only 1 meter length, so in that case this length will become 1 meter. So this becomes 1 meter plus 1 meter unit area. So this becomes unit area, and on this unit area, what is the load? And that load will be represented as UDL in the slab along the Lx. Similarly for Ly also. Similarly for Ly also, the same load will be considered, because in case of Ly, if we again, you can see this is 1 meter, and again if we go consider only the unit length of this strip, so this also becomes unit area, because this is 1 meter, this is 1 meter, so this becomes unit area. So therefore load on this area will be calculated only. So load on this unit area, on this unit area, it will be same. So therefore the area on which we are considering load will be 1 by 1. 1 by 1 means meter square area. So that is why we are calculating load per unit area, which is W kilonewton per meter square. So now load consists of two types of load. One will be the dead load and the second one will be the live load. So dead load consisting the self weight of slab and the roof finishing. Now roof finishing is already given as 2 kilonewton per meter square in the question, which means the total load on unit area is 2 kilonewton. So here unit length is 1, unit breadth is 1, and load intensity is already provided, which is 2 kilonewton. So putting the value, we get 2 kilonewton as the load of finishing on unit area. Similarly, we will find out the self weight of slab. Now self weight of slab can be calculated by formula volume multiplied by unit weight or density of RCC. So density of RCC is 25 kilonewton per meter cube, and volume will be length multiplied by width multiplied by thickness. So as we are calculating load on unit area only, so length will be 1, width will be 1, multiplied by overall thickness. Overall thickness of slab will be 140. So because this is in meter, so we will put this as in meter also. So putting the value as 1 into 1 into 0.4 multiplied by the unit weight of reinforced concrete, and calculating this, we get the value 3.50 kilonewton. Now next load will be the live load. So as in the question, it is already mentioned that the roof is approachable for repair only. Now, here we need to understand that the live load is recommended in IS code 875. IS 875 part 2. It is about the live load recommendations for different type of structures or different type of area. So for example, in case of roof, in case of general roof, this code is recommending as intensity of live load as 1.5 kilonewton per meter square. So that is the load intensity. It is recommended by this one. So roof generally have load intensity of 1.5, and for the floor, minimum load intensity is 3 kilonewton per meter square. So you can remember these values if it is not provided in the question. So if you are designing a roof, maximum value of live load, I mean the minimum value of live load to be taken is 1.5 kilonewton per meter square, and minimum value of live load to be taken in case of floor, it will be 3 kilonewton per meter square. So that is the value you can remember. Now, as in our case, roof is approachable for repair only, which means it is partially accessible. It is partially accessible. So in that case, whether we should provide the full intensity of live load or the partial intensity of live load. Generally, in such case, when we have partial access, we provide half of the intensity recommended by the IS code, which means this time we will be taking half of this value. So that is what I have mentioned here. Half of this value will be 0.75 kilonewton. And it is applied on the unit area, which means we have to find out load on live load on the area, unit area, it will be 0.75. So direct value of live load on unit area will be 0.75 kilonewton. So that is the total load. I mean, that is the load for live load. Now we have calculated dead load, this one, and this one. Now we will calculate the total load by adding them. So adding these value, we get the total load as 6.25 kilonewton on the unit area. So this much load is there. So it means the slab along the LX span, the UDL value will be 6.25 kilonewton per meter. Similarly for LY also, it will be the same value. So now in the step 4, we have now calculated the load. We will now calculate the aspect ratio of the slab, which we represent as lambda, and the ratio is Ly by Lx. So Ly by Lx, we already find out that aspect ratio lambda is 1.64, and you can see 1.64 is less than 2. So this aspect ratio value is also defining the slab as two-way slab. So we will be designing this slab as a two-way slab. So as it is already mentioned that the slab will be simply supported slab. So therefore the bending moment coefficient, which are given in table 27, which I have explained earlier also, will be applicable in our case. So the next step would be to find out the maximum bending moment. Well, why we are calculating maximum bending moment? Because the load which is coming on the slab, how much bending moment it is creating within the slab, and what is the maximum value of that is required to be found, so that we can check the thickness of the slab that we have provided in the second step, whether it is sufficient or not. So to check that, we have to calculate the maximum bending moment. So maximum bending moment will be calculated, and it will be the larger of mx and my. So we will calculate mx, which is bending moment along the shorter span, my bending moment along the longer span. So maximum bending moment will be the larger of mx and my, as I said. So now according to the IS code, the formula for mx is alpha x w lx square. In this case, we are required to find out alpha x, because W and Lx we already know. W we have calculated earlier in step 4, and Lx we have already calculated in step 3. We have to find out alpha x, which is dependent on table 27. So now we will go to the IS code, and because this alpha x dependent on the aspect ratio, that is also being calculated. So aspect ratio here is 1.64. So what will be the value of alpha x for 1.64? That we will see on the IS code. So now I am showing you that code. Hello. So in this case, you can see here, in this table, this is the aspect ratio, alpha x and alpha y. Now for 1.64, 1.64 will lie between here 1.64. So alpha x value for 1.5, it is 0.104, and when the alpha value is 1.75, it is 1.104. Yes, it is 0.113. So as you can see, as the value of alpha x is increasing, the value of alpha x is also increasing, because I mean, as the lambda value is increasing, the value of alpha x is also increasing. So here our alpha x value for 1.64, it will be higher than this. So using the interpolation method, we can find out 104 plus the difference of this one, which is 0.113 minus 0.104 upon the difference of this one, which is 1.75 minus 1.5, multiplied by the value of lambda that we have in the question, which is 1.64 minus the lower value of lambda, which is 1.5. So by calculating this, we get the value. So the calculation I have done on the slide. So here I'm again moving to the slide. Yes, so here this is the calculation of interpolation, and doing so we get the value of alpha as 0.109. Now putting the value in this formula, we get the value of mx as 6.59 kilonewton meter. So that is the value of mx, which means bending moment along the x direction or the shorter direction. On the same way, we will now find out the value of my. And for the my, the formula is alpha y into w into lx square. So again, we have to find out alpha y. Now again, I will show you the process of alpha y calculation in the IS code. So this time, for ly by lx, we will calculate alpha y. Now our ly by lx value is 1.64, and again it is lying between 1.5 and 1.75, and the value of alpha y for 1.5, it is 0.046, and for 1.75 it is 0.037. So I'm writing here, for lambda, when it is 1.5, the alpha x is 0.046, and when it is 1.75, it is 0.037. So here you can see, as the value of lambda is increasing, the value is decreasing. So this is the ascending order, but here it is following the descending order. So it means our value of alpha x will be more than this. So, and lower than this value. So here this time, for the alpha y value, we will take first value over this one, 0.046, and this time we will deduct. Why? Because this value is greater than the value of alpha y for 1.64. So that is why we are decreasing it. So minus difference of these two, so that is 0.46, sorry, 0.046 minus 0.037 divided by difference of this, which is 1.75 minus 1.5 multiplied by the required value of lambda is 1.64 minus the lower value, which is 1.5. So solving this, we get the value of alpha y, which we have done in the slide. So now I'm moving to the slide. Yes, so putting the value here, we get the value of alpha y as 0.01. And putting the same value in the formula for my, we get the value of my as 2.48 kilonewton meter. Now we have calculated my and we have calculated mx. The larger value of mx and my will be mx. And that is the maximum bending moment. And that is what we are required to find out in this step. So that is the value for which we will check now the depth. But we will be doing that in the next part. Thank you.